Hi, Inda.
Hello. Oh my God. Hi. I'm so happy.
Do I sound okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're fine.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for doing this with me.
No worries.
It's an honor.
So tell me what it is you're doing.
Okay, so basically, I'm in 12th grade,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to do the senior thesis, which is due on in June,
Mm-hmm.
and my English teacher asked me to choose a topic,
Mm-hmm.
and um, he recommend that either I choose a topic that is the same as my future college major or something that I like.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I was gonna pick something that relates to economy, but it's too hard, so I just choose something that I like, which is
Mm-hmm.
about feminism, and I decided to research about feminism, the misunderstanding and
Mm-hmm.
the importance of it.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's basically the background.
Okay.
So should we just start with the questions then?
Sure.
Okay,
I don't
so
know how much I can help you. Hopefully, just
yeah.
maybe a little bit. Yeah.
I found out about you through your website, Magdalene.
Mm-hmm.
It was quite hard to look for resources about feminism or women empowerment in Indonesia that I can contact.
Mm-hmm.
What is the reason behind the creation of the website Magdalene?
Magdalene. Yeah. Well, the website was founded by my friend and I. Her name is Hera. So we both are journalists, and so we've been doing this for some time. We were working for mainstream media. We worked for newspapers, and I did some TV a little bit, and but after a while, it got quite tiring, and I wanted to do something more like meaningful. So we just kind of brainstorm. We try to find out what sort of things that we can come up with, and it's a bit hard to come up with like a regular website, like a news website, because it's going to cost a lot. It's going to need a lot of resources, and that's not the kind of thing that I wanted to do anymore. So we were like talking a little bit more, and we thought, well, maybe we should write for women, and by women meaning like, we write for women like us, because both Hera and I are voracious readers, but we don't really like women's publications, like the existing ones, like the whole like Cosmopolitans, Femina, and all that stuff, because it just doesn't speak to us. So we thought maybe we should write a publication that's like treat its readers as smart women, as women who aspire more to just being physically beautiful, or sexy, and getting the men that they want, but women who are actually, who care about their environment, who are curious about things, who talk about issues and stuff. And so from there we kind of got like the soul of the magazine. We call it web magazine because it's not really a blog, because it's got a magazine's quality. So and that's how we started basically, and we started it in September 2013 until now.
So that's quite new, right? Like 2013, 3 years ago.
Yeah, this is more than 2 years. So we started in September, so it's a bit it's over 2 years old.
Okay. So I myself found out about feminism in 10th grade, which was quite new. That was 2 years ago. And I found out about it because I had to do a research for a Model United Nations thing. And so for yourself, how did you find out about feminism or just women empowerment in general?
Yeah.
And what was your initial thought about it? Because for some people, when they listen or think about feminism, it's quite like negative. Maybe some people think
Yeah.
about it. So yeah, how did you find out, and what was your initial thought about it?
Well, I first, of course, I knew feminism by name when I was in college, I think, which was a long time ago. But it wasn't something that kind of clicked with me immediately, because at the time it was more of a, oh, this is, you either have to be an activist or you have to be a scholar. It's an academic thing or it's an activism thing. And I was neither. My interest has always been into journalism and writing and stuff. But so it wasn't like I identified myself as a feminist when I was, like, say, your age or slightly older. But then like when I look back at it, like back to 20, 25 years ago, to the time when I was still in school, in college, and when I started work, I've always been a feminist, because I've always believed that I can do what men do. I've always believed that there is an inherent equality in both, in between men and men, and that is the way I have lived my life without actually identifying myself or calling myself quote unquote feminist. So and it didn't click to me, and I always thought, well, why are women making such a big deal about this? I mean, we are always equal anyway. The thing is, I think I misunderstood the whole thing because I wasn't quite aware of what's happening in the real world. Like, I didn't know that there is actually a lot of inequality, that inequality still persists and exists and thrives in the world, even in the first world countries like in the US and in some European countries, and especially in countries like Indonesia, where the society is still very conservative. So, and it didn't really, I mean, this wasn't part of my let's just say identity, because I've always identified myself as a writer and as a journalist. But until recently, when I started Magdalene, and we didn't even started Magdalene as a so-called feminist publication at the time, because it just wasn't the word that we weren't set out to have a feminist publication. But then as we published this stuff, like a few weeks into it, after we started publishing, after we launched, I realized, like, look, we are a feminist publication, and we should be proudly declaring ourselves as such. And I think this will work well, because then people will know out where we stand, and then we will inspire people, and hopefully younger people, like the younger readers. So from there, I started getting a lot more involved in the feminist cause, like including, I guess, equipping myself with the actual information, like reading up on it and meeting a lot of feminists and sharing their thoughts and writing about women's empowerment and about feminist issue or feminist related issues. So if you ask me, like, when like I actually formally become a feminist, that might be just a few years ago, but that would not be very accurate, because actually I have lived my life ever since I was a teenager. I've always been a feminist.
In school, I've encountered times where I say that to people or my friends, like, I'm a feminist, and then people would look at me with weird looks, or they would ask me, like, oh, you're a feminist, so does it mean you hate men?
And that you're angry.
Or, are you always angry because you're a feminist? And it's quite weird. And then why do you think feminism has such a negative connotation within people, within society?
Yeah, I think, and this is exactly why I was not really connected to the whole feminism movement and awareness when I was much younger, because it's because of the same misperception that feminism has always been kind of linked to anger, to hatred towards men, to the kind of opposite of chauvinism or male chauvinism, which is wrong. And I think the biggest misperception is caused by the fact that people are just underinformed. And a lot of people have become, or a lot of public figures, until very recently, in the last 2 years or so, a lot of public figures shy away from declaring themselves as feminists, because of exactly the same reason, that they don't want people to think that they are men-hating, angry women. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
So, and because of that, there is less less and less information about it, and it's not like it's only kind of uh, restricted to the whole academia and the whole activism circle. So the whole the like the general public doesn't get to see what feminism is all about and why we need feminism and why feminists are not what they think they are. But I think recently there has been a change, like a shift, because of a lot of public figures, like especially in the popular culture, that have identified themselves as feminists, and they talk about it, and they talk about the problems that even exist within their world, like for example, like unequal pays and sexism and things like that. So it kind of opens people's eyes, but of course this will take some time. And in Indonesia, I think the problem also springs from the fact that we are very conservative. We're still a conservative society, which is a lot of it's because of religion and also because of our cultural upbringing. So, and that plays a lot into the reason why feminism is such a muted movement in Indonesia. I spoke to some women's activists, and they said that they actually don't use the word feminist in their activities, in their advocacy, and whenever they talk about policies and things like that, and they don't call themselves feminists because they say it would actually offend people. So even them, like, kind of diluting it, watering it down in a sense, when it comes to like declaring themselves out there. But they do what feminists do, what the essence of feminism, like advocating over like for a better law that protect women, or that ban child marriage. But it's all, in a sense, is what feminism is all about,
Exactly.
But they don't call themselves a feminist movement because of that, because there's such a bad stigma connected to it. Unfortunately.
Previously you said something about public figures, so I agree with that, because recently there are campaigns like He for She that was done by Emma Watson and UN Women, and also from cases like Malala. And does
Yeah.
that kind of like help people to be exposed about feminism? Like, does it help from like campaigns that Emma Watson started? Does it like help to erase the negative stigma about feminism
Oh,
that occurs
yeah,
within
I think
people?
so. I think so, because these are people who are influencers. They try. I mean, people like me, like people my age, and we probably won't change anymore. But people like your generation, you guys can still change, and so we need figures who speak to the younger people, like Emma Watson, like even Beyonce, and
Yeah.
several other, like Lady Gaga, even. We need people like them who are actually listened by the younger generation, who speak to them in a way that, and no activist, no women's activist, or no academic could ever do. So I think it's only positive. Now there is some reservation in terms of I mean, I've only read, and I have interviewed one feminist writer from Australia, and she has a reservation in a way that she thinks this feminism that is brought up by these women or these so-called public figures are like an accessories, like another bling, to their whole appearance and stuff, which is not all, of course. I think I believe so much in Emma Watson, but maybe not so much in other celebrities. But even when we talk in that kind of superficial aspect, I think there's only positive things coming, because rather than not, they bring this into the conversation. They get people to talk about it, and they get people to the younger generation who thought, what is feminism? Now they're like kind of, maybe I should kind of read up about it. Maybe I should listen to this woman. Maybe feminism is not such a bad thing or such an uncool thing after all.
Yeah, and I myself are always trying to learn more about feminism and people that talk about it. And in school, sometimes because of this project, I ask my friends like, why do you think feminism has such a bad connotation and why it has a bad stigma? And they say that it's because of feminists themselves. There are some quote crazy feminists, and we as feminists, we want to empower other women and not use degrading terms like feminazis. So what is
Yeah.
your own opinion about people who call about some like crazy feminists, and what is your opinion about feminazis, the term?
I think it's very insulting to the movement, to the cause. I think it's another way that patriarchy does to kind of put women in their place. To say that you doing this is just showing that you're just an angry woman. You're an angry, unattractive, and man-hating woman, and you're a feminazi. And I think it's wrong because yes, we don't have to exude anger all the time, but of course we have to be angry. When you think about it, like women still earn 70% of men's salary of what men earn. Women only get 70% of them. So if a man earns 100,000 rupiah a week, a woman only gets 70,000 rupiah a week. Imagine that. And then there's women, like there are still laws that are, and a lot of laws, even in Indonesia, a lot of perdas that discriminate against women. Like if you go to some really conservative provinces, like in Aceh, women cannot leave, cannot be outside after 10 p.m. at night.
Exactly, yeah.
And they have, in some places you cannot ride pillion, like duduk. When you ride a motorcycle, you have to ride sideways, which is very dangerous for women. Because you are not supposed to wear pants. You have to wear long skirt, and then and of course there is even the national legislation, undang-undang perkawinan, the marriage law, which still differentiates the minimum age of marriage for a man and a woman. A man must be 19 years old to marry. A woman can be 16 years old. According to the UN Convention on Child Protection, under 18 years old is when you are considered an adult. So 16 years old you get married, that means you're marrying children. This kind of things are still existing, and there's a whole bunch of other things, and of course we have to be angry. But for people to call feminists as feminazi, I think that's really unfair, and I think that's the kind of speak that they want to normalize. So you see a woman activist, or say like a Lady Gaga or something, talking about talking about surviving sexual violence, and then people say, okay, oh well, she's just angry, or that kind of thing. It's like really putting you down and putting you in your place, and you shouldn't. Okay, you can protest, but not too much, but you shouldn't be too angry. So I think it's just insulting, and we shouldn't, as a woman, I think we should not also adopt this kind of speak.
Okay. So this is the last question, and it's very simple.
Uh-huh.
Was it important for people, both men and women, to know about the real meaning of feminism and become feminists themselves?
Why is it important?
Yeah, just the importance of
Because, for one, if you're a woman, this affects you. Even if you, maybe as a middle class person, educated, and you have all this privilege, it still affects you in the long run. Like I said, like you still earn less than men, and I think 70-80% of people in the top rung of, or any organizations, like companies or government, are still held by men. So you should feminism only creates a level playing field. So for women, there's no other choice but to support feminism. That's for women. Now for men, I think there's a couple of reasons. The first reason is personal. Like if you're a man, I'm sure you have a mother, you have a sister or a friend, a close friend, a wife, a spouse, a partner, you have a daughter, you have a niece, you have people who are women who are affected by this deeply rooted patriarchy. That's first. And secondly, when we live in a culture, in a patriarchal culture like this, or society like this, it also affects men in a way that there is an unrealistic demands for men. in terms of how they express their masculinity. You know, so like if you act certain ways, you're not man enough. If you don't have kids, you're also not man enough. If you do this, you're not man enough. And in the long run, it affects the men, and it affects their, like, a lot of men get sick, like they get like not cardiac arrest, they get heart attack early or stroke early, because there's a lot of pressure for them to perform as quote unquote men. They have to be what the society referred to them as men, because of this really strict gender expression of gender roles. You have to be this way, or you are a woman. If you are not a certain way, if you're not muscular enough, then you're too girly, then you're a girl. So if we actually practice, because feminism, like I said, it creates level playing field, and it also creates an environment in which both gender are respectful of each other, and there is not such a strict gender division, then the men would have less pressure for them, and they can support their spouse or their partners or whatever, and then they get less pressure, and then they can actually actualize themselves in a way that fulfill themselves instead of fulfill what the society demands of them. I think that's my point of view.
Okay. So yeah, that was the last question. Thank you so much for doing this interview with me. It means a lot.
So is this like a paper or something?
No,
Or
my senior thesis, we start on term 3, which is January, but then the presentation is in June, and then for term 3, my English teacher has asked us to make a YouTube channel about our topic, and make 4 episodes. The first one is the introduction. Second is my research about the topic. The third is a interview from a source, from a reliable source, which is you, and also telling in our channel about we also did a survey, and then the fourth is the last episode. Yeah, and then that's basically the project.
Okay. So all this is in your YouTube channel.
Yeah, this
Or
is gonna
just a
be in my
start?
YouTube channel, and then I'm also gonna do a presentation in June. So yeah.
All right. Well, good luck.
Thank
Please
you.
send me your. Is it public, your YouTube channel?
Yeah, it's public. I can send you my YouTube URL in through WhatsApp. Maybe. Yeah. I'm just gonna upload this. I'm recording the
Okay.
audio, so I'm gonna upload it on YouTube.
All right. Well, good luck. Hope I helped a little.
You helped a lot. Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this with me. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Best
good
of luck.
afternoon. Have a great
Thank you.
day.
You too.
Yeah. Thank
You
you.
too. Bye bye.
Bye.